In 406 AD, over 100,000 Alamanni surged into Roman territory, threatening the empire's borders. This massive movement of people was not just a random act of aggression, but a significant historical event that would reshape the future of Europe. The Alamanni, a confederation of Germanic tribes, had long been a thorn in the side of the Roman Empire, but this invasion was different in scale and intent. Imagine the scene. A vast horde of warriors, their faces hardened by years of conflict, sweeping across the Rhine River. The cold waters of the Rhine did little to deter their advance. They moved with purpose, driven by a need for survival and a desire for a new beginning. The sight of such a large and determined group would have struck fear into the hearts of those living in the Roman frontier. This was no mere raid for plunder. The Alamanni were not just seeking riches, they were seeking a new homeland. Their lands had been ravaged by other tribes in the harsh climate, forcing them to look for new territories to settle. This migration was a matter of survival, a desperate attempt to find a place where they could thrive. This was a migration, a desperate search for a new homeland driven by forces beyond their control. Families traveled together, bringing with them all their belongings, their hopes, and their dreams. The journey was fraught with danger, but the promise of a better life kept them moving forward. The Alamanni were determined to carve out a new future for themselves, no matter the cost. Who were these people who dared to challenge the might of Rome? The Alamanni were a fierce and resilient people, known for their warrior culture and their ability to adapt to changing circumstances. They had a long history of conflict with Rome, but this invasion was different. It was a bold statement of their intent to establish themselves as a dominant force in the region. They were the Alamanni, a name that would echo through the halls of history. Their actions during this period would leave a lasting impact on the course of European history. The crossing of the Rhine was not just a physical act but a symbolic one, representing the beginning of a new era. This event, the crossing of the Rhine, marked a turning point in the history of the Alamanni and the Western Roman Empire. It was a moment that signaled the decline of Roman power and the rise of new barbarian kingdoms. The Rhine River, once a formidable barrier, had been breached, and there was no turning back. It signaled the beginning of the end for Roman dominance in the region, and the rise of new powers in Europe. The Roman Empire, already weakened by internal strife and external pressures, could not withstand the onslaught of the Alamanni and other barbarian tribes. The old order was crumbling, and a new one was emerging. What led to this dramatic turn of events? The reasons were complex and multifaceted, involving a combination of economic, social, and environmental factors. The Alamanni were not the only tribe on the move. The entire region was in a state of flux, with various groups vying for power and territory. To understand, we must journey back in time to trace the origins of the Alamanni. Their story is one of resilience, adaptation, and survival. By examining their past, we can gain insights into the forces that shaped their destiny, and the broader currents of history that led to the fall of the Western Roman Empire. The Alamanni were not a single unified tribe. They were a collection of smaller Germanic groups who banded together for survival. These tribes inhabited the lands east of the Rhine River, a region the Romans viewed as a wild and untamed frontier. The very name Alamanni likely meant all men or all people, highlighting their diverse origins. Bound by a shared language and culture, they found strength in numbers. Their warriors, renowned for their ferocity in battle, posed a constant challenge to Roman authority. For centuries, the Alamanni engaged in a dangerous dance with the Roman Empire, a mix of raids, skirmishes, and uneasy truces. The relationship between the Alamanni and the Romans was complex. It wasn't always about open warfare. There were periods of trade and even cooperation. However, the Alamanni's ambitions grew as the Roman Empire weakened. They launched increasingly bold incursions into Roman Gaul, seeking to carve out their own domains. These weren't mere acts of barbarism, as Roman historians often portrayed them. The Alamanni were driven by the same desires that motivated empires throughout history: the need for land, resources, and security for their people. Their raids on Roman settlements, though brutal, were strategic moves to acquire wealth and territory. The simmering conflict between the Alamanni and the Romans reached a boiling point in 357 AD. The Alamanni, led by their king Chenodomar, crossed the Rhine once more, intent on conquering Roman territory. What followed was a pivotal moment in history: the Battle of Strasbourg. Here, two powerful forces collided: the disciplined legions of Rome, led by the young and ambitious Emperor Julian, and the fierce warriors of the Alamanni Confederation. The battle raged for hours, a brutal melee of sword and shield. In the end, Julian's forces emerged victorious, inflicting a crushing defeat on the Alamanni. The victory at Strasbourg cemented Julian's reputation as a skilled military commander and temporarily secured the Roman frontier. However, it was a fleeting victory. The Alamanni, though defeated, were far from broken. As the Western Roman Empire continued to decline in the 5th century AD, a new power emerged in Gaul, the Franks. Led by the ambitious King Clovis, the Franks, another Germanic group, began to assert their dominance. Clovis recognized the strategic importance of uniting the various Germanic tribes under his banner. He understood that a divided enemy was a weaker enemy. In 496 AD, Clovis's forces clashed with the Alamanni at the Battle of Tolbiac. The battle marked a turning point in the history of the Alamanni and the Franks. Clovis's victory shattered Alamanni resistance, leading to their subjugation and absorption into the growing Frankish kingdom. The Alamanni, once a formidable force that had challenged Rome, were now subjects of a new power. Section 6. Cracks in the foundation: internal strife. The Alamanni's eventual decline cannot be attributed solely to external pressures. Internal divisions also played a significant role. The very nature of the Alamanni Confederation, a loose alliance of independent tribes, contained the seeds of its own instability. While this structure provided strength in numbers, it also fostered rivalries and power struggles among the various chieftains. Disputes over resources, land, and political dominance weakened the Alamanni from within, making them more vulnerable to external threats. These internal divisions undermined their ability to present a united front against enemies like the Franks. This lack of cohesion ultimately contributed to their downfall. Section 7. The weight of migrations: external pressures. The Alamanni, like many other groups during this period, were caught in the cross-currents of migration. These migrations were not just simple movements of people, they were complex, multifaceted events that reshaped the very fabric of societies. The Alamanni had to constantly adapt to new challenges and threats, which often came without warning. The movement of the Huns from the east in the late 4th century AD created a domino effect, pushing other tribes westward. This westward push was like a tidal wave, sweeping across the continent and forcing many groups, including the Alamanni, to find new territories. The Huns were fierce warriors, and their arrival sent shockwaves through the existing power structures. These migrations disrupted existing power structures and led to widespread conflict. The once stable regions became battlegrounds and alliances shifted rapidly. The Alamanni, who were once a formidable force, found themselves in a constant state of warfare, defending their lands from multiple fronts. The Alamanni found themselves squeezed between the expanding Frankish kingdom to their west and the relentless pressure of other migrating groups to their east. This geographical squeeze meant that they were constantly on the defensive, trying to hold on to their territories while also dealing with internal strife and resource shortages. This constant struggle for survival took its toll on the Alamanni. The relentless pressure from all sides meant that they had little time to recover or rebuild. Their society was under continuous strain, and the weariness of constant conflict was evident in their daily lives. They were forced to expend precious resources defending their territories, further weakening their ability to resist the growing power of the Franks. Every skirmish, every battle drained their strength, making it harder to maintain their independence. The Franks, on the other hand, were growing stronger and more organized, posing an ever-increasing threat. The Alamanni's story is a reminder that even the most formidable groups can be overwhelmed by the tides of history. Their struggles and eventual decline highlight the relentless nature of external pressures and the ever-changing dynamics of power and survival in ancient times. Section 8. Echoes of the Past: The Alamanni Legacy. Though the Alamanni as a distinct political entity vanished from the historical stage, their legacy lived on. They were a confederation of Germanic tribes who played a significant role during the late Roman Empire and early medieval period. Their influence extended far beyond their time, leaving an indelible mark on the regions they once inhabited. The regions they inhabited, primarily parts of present-day southwestern Germany and Switzerland, still bear traces of their presence. These areas are rich with historical landmarks and cultural remnants that speak to the Alamanni's enduring influence. From ancient ruins to medieval castles, the landscape is a testament to their once formidable presence. Linguistic influences can be seen in the Alemannic dialects spoken in these areas, distinct branches of the Germanic language family. These dialects are not just a means of communication but a living heritage, connecting modern inhabitants to their ancient ancestors. The Alamannic dialects are a fascinating study in how language evolves yet retains its roots. Furthermore, archaeological discoveries continue to shed light on their culture, art, and way of life. Excavations have unearthed tools, jewelry, and everyday items that offer a glimpse into the daily lives of the Alamanni people. These artifacts are invaluable in understanding the social and economic structures of their society. The Alamanni, though often relegated to the footnotes of history, played a crucial role in shaping the political and cultural landscape of early medieval Europe. Their interactions with the Roman Empire, and later with the Frankish kingdom, were pivotal in the historical developments of the region. They were not just passive participants, but active shapers of their destiny. Their story is a reminder that the past is not merely a collection of names and dates, but a tapestry woven with the threads of countless individual lives. The legacy of the Alamanni is a rich and complex narrative that continues to inspire and educate. It serves as a poignant reminder of the enduring impact of history on our present and future. Section 9. The Rise and Fall, a story of power and change. The rise and fall of the Alamanni offer valuable insights into the turbulent era of late antiquity. They remind us that power is fluid, constantly shifting in the hands of different groups. The Alamanni's story highlights the challenges of maintaining unity in the face of internal strife and external pressures. Their legacy, though fragmented, speaks to the enduring impact even seemingly vanquished cultures can have on the world. The Alamanni may be gone, but their story, like the echoes of a distant storm, continues to resonate through time, reminding us of the ebb and flow of power, the resilience of culture, and the enduring impact of the past on the present.